Hi guys, and welcome to this video. The last video, as you know, was 2 weeks ago, and we were actually at the range highs at that time. And if you remember correctly, the title of the video was Why the Top is Closer Than You Think. And funny enough, I think 2 days or one day after I posted this video 2 weeks ago, we saw one of the biggest crashes and liquidations in the history of crypto and Bitcoin also, and had a huge crash. Kind of funny because I was expecting a top, or I'm expecting the top to be soon, but I didn't expect this thing to happen like 1 or 2 days after I post the video actually. So quite ironic and interesting. But let's have a look what's going on right now. I think the time is running out for this bull market, as you know, and we are really close to topping in not only Bitcoin but also in the stock market and gold. So let's quickly go over the charts. So basically, as you know, last video was I think around here, and what we saw was a huge crash. I mean, on Bitstamp you can't really see the wick, but it was huge liquidations. I think the biggest liquidation in the history of crypto. I think like 20 billion US dollars got liquidated, and it also shows that leverage trading is really dangerous. So keep that in mind, stay safe if you trade with leverage, and don't have all your money in one account with leverage, because this can get liquidated, and a lot of people got liquidated. So what's going on at the moment? In general, the chart that we looked at, the index chart, is this one, and we looked at the time frames of the past cycles of Bitcoin and the length from the low to the high, and also from the high to the high. And we are currently really inside the window of these time frames. So as you can see, this red line here was high to high from one of the last two cycles. So far only 2 days away from the current top. So this one would be really accurate if this is the top for the bull market. And these two yellow lines, which we are in between right now, are from low to high from the last two cycles. So one cycle low to high was already a few days ago, and the other duration of the cycle is like in 2 days. So the last two cycles had this duration. So it would really not be far off if this one is already the top. Really not far off the last two cycle durations, just a few days, as you can see. Top to top was already here, so also pretty close. And the other top to top duration would be until end of November. Generally, what we now have with the cycles is a cycle low, a daily and a weekly cycle low coming up soon. As you can see, we had this huge drop and liquidation cascade, and since then are just like grinding sideways or down, and it doesn't really look that good, to be honest. Bitcoin gets like higher highs since a few months, gold also a huge blow off top, but Bitcoin is struggling, and I think the time is really running out, as you saw the time frames from the last bull markets. If we want to see new all-time highs for Bitcoin and also for altcoins, it really needs to go soon and quickly to the upside, because I think the time is just running out for this cycle, and the risk is to the downside and not to the upside. So the coming cycle low would be, if it's perfectly 60 days, would be on the last day of October, 31st, but the time frame starts I think at the weekend, so in the coming days. And what I will do is I use this cycle that is coming up. If we get a low, maybe it's a double bottom or a lower low, I will use this as a real invalidation for the bull market actually, because this is a daily and a weekly cycle. We should not fail the cycle. So basically, if the price is going down, then has a relief for a few days, we confirm the cycle, and then break the cycle to the downside, then that really likely means that the bull market is over and we head to the downside. Also, this whole thing here looks a lot like a Wyckoff distribution actually. I can, for the next video, I will find a chart, but So far it's like a textbook Wyckoff distribution actually, and we are now at the lower end. But what we also saw in this bull run so far was fake outs to the downside a few times. So as you can see here, fake out to the downside, rally, fake out to the downside here as well. So maybe if we're lucky, we have one more fake out into the cycle low time frame, followed by a strong and fast push to the upside. But as you know, time is running out, and it really starts to move, really has to start to move. If it doesn't move, then it's likely over for Bitcoin and for this cycle so far. Also, as you know, the 0.7 and 0.786 are really strong and important resistances. Maybe we also just go up to these levels and then go down. If we hit this, we have a close look on it, how we react of this, and to determine if we likely go down or have some moves to the upside left. So yeah, basically the timing is coming to an end soon. If we see a move to the upside, hopefully it will come soon. If not, the chances get slimmer and slimmer to see new all-time highs. So basically, in general for Bitcoin and also for crypto in general, is a cycle low is coming up. Out of this, you really want to see a quick move to the upside. If you don't see this, and if you see a cycle failure, then bull market is likely over. The cycle is likely over, and we are coming into a bear market. Last video I also said it's maybe a good idea to start selling in like 10% portions. I also started selling already before last video, was around here. And I just watch closely what happens to the price, and yeah, take like always 10% chunks depending on what happens. Another point is the last in line indicator. It's one of the best indicators, I think, and if it changes from yellow to blue, that's an indication for a bigger drop or correction or a bear market. And I think today or yesterday it flipped to blue, so that's one thing to keep in mind. You can follow him, really good analysis, and this is another sign that is not really looking too good for Bitcoin right now. Together with the cycle low, keep that in mind. I think the time is running out, and soon, if it doesn't recover fast after the cycle low window, it's time to get out of the market and actually look for short positions in altcoins. But we will see what happens in the next days and weeks, and depending on that, we can position ourselves. For altcoins and yeah, Ethereum, it's basically, yeah, it all depends on what Bitcoin is doing generally. You want to see Bitcoin pushing for the rest to have a chance. Last video, I think it was up here somewhere, I said the expectation for Ethereum is to go back to the bull market support band, which we did right now. We are currently testing it. So this is accomplished. Now all depends on Bitcoin. Final daily cycle low for Bitcoin upcoming. So maybe we get a fake out move to the downside with Ethereum, and then hopefully also a move to the upside. But it all depends on Bitcoin basically. Here you see the total free market cap. Strong rejection here. You see the huge liquidation to the downside and not really recovering, trading sideways since then. Generally, also one thing, I did not buy any new altcoin positions. You know, I sold part of my positions before this drop, and I also will not be entering new altcoin positions now. I will only see to reduce my positions, because right now the main focus is shifting from bull market to bear market. Main focus is shifting to get out of positions and looking to buy back in the bear market lows, and also to short the bear market. So I'm not buying any new positions. And also, if you follow other people on X or other YouTube channels that say that the bull market has not even started yet, please just unfollow them really quickly, because bull market Bitcoin is up what is it right now? 590%. It was up 700%. So the bull market has definitely started, and it's, I think, not that much longer time left. Generally, the lows of the cycles are basically fixed. So the 4-year cycle is basically fixed on the lows. The tops can vary a little bit. So it can happen that we run for a few more weeks or maybe 1-2 more months until November or December, but the low time frames are pretty solid and don't change that much. So it's still a valid 4-year cycle even if we get like 1 or 2 more months to the upside, but the lows are pretty much fixed. So just for your information. Yeah, but in general, what I wanted to say is I don't really see the risk reward to buy any altcoins here, because if you don't buy and the altcoins go up, you didn't lose any money. It's just a mindset thing. You think, oh yeah, I missed out, but missing out, you didn't lose any money. But if actually the bull market top is in and we see sharp moves to the downside, then you lose actual money. So it's a bit different. Missing out is not really something you should have in your head, but risk management. And yeah, for XRP the same, basically still holding the 786 so far, but just grinding to the side right here. So it depends on Bitcoin basically. The stock market had also a big flush because of some new tariff news from the USA. We managed to close 2 days above the 786, way above, but we didn't make an all-time high so far. But generally, closing above the 786 means we get new all-time highs. So I think for the S&P, sooner or later we will break the highs and get another all-time high. Generally, though, I think we also here have maybe a few more weeks left, maybe 1 month or something, before we see the top. And we have to wait. We have to wait for like confirmed breakdowns and also cycle failures. And if that happens, it's time to get also out of stocks, look for short positions, and also what I was talking about last video, look for the VIX volatility index to get some longs on the VIX. We had a big spike on this last crash here to the upside, but I think and hope we can find a low here, or if the market is pumping, at least the stock market, we should get a move to the downside, and then I think it's soon time to start to get positions in the VIX. Here this fractal is, I think, from the COVID crash. Doesn't have to happen like this, but I think if we see a bigger crash, then the VIX can also, the crash can be really fast and the VIX can spike a lot. So that's the idea here. Last but not least, gold. As you know, since the beginning of the channel, since I think every video, if you watch it back, I was always really bullish on gold and especially silver. And now is the first time since the start of the channel that I think we might have actually found a top already now here in gold, or we see one more bounce. So basically, let me put away this fib retracement. So we saw a huge move from gold in the last years, and I put these 2 support lines. The steeper one now was failed to the downside, but we are still holding this more important one. So I think unless we can, if we can stay above here and hold the support, I think for a few, like 1 or 2 weeks, we can get another move to the upside. But I think the top is really close for gold and also for silver. Especially if you look on the sentiment right now, like in Australia, Vietnam and other countries, there's thousands of retail investors lining up for hours or maybe even days to buy silver and gold. And that's a really good top indicator. Yeah, thousands of people storming in to buy gold, and that basically is one of the best indicators for a top, I think. But it doesn't mean that we cannot have another bounce, but I think maybe 1 or 2 weeks left, and then the gold top should be in, I think, and also for gold mining stocks, it's time to get out. And yeah, same thing for silver. The steeper angle support is broken down. We still have this one. So Also depends on what gold is doing. If we can hold maybe another bounce for 1 or 2 weeks, but I think the top is really, really close so far. And then longer term, I think we find a low also with the stock market and Bitcoin around October 26. And yeah, out of this, I think we can see way higher silver prices, like 200 or 300 or even more. So yeah, basically that's it for this video. Remember the cycle low upcoming for Bitcoin. And yeah, get ready for the market tops coming in the next weeks and months. So be prepared. All right, see you in the next one. Bye bye.